People who declined a proposal. Why did you do it? Because we had been dating for a week. He told me he wouldn't say that he loved me until we were married. Big red commitment flag. I was fresh out of high school and dating a guy in the military that I went to school with. We had been dating about 3 months when he proposed. He was nice, and I could have seen a future with him, but 3 months was just too soon for me, even though we had been friends for quite some time. I told him I wasn't ready and he never spoke to me again. I was a C school instructor for a few years. I also got married right before boot camp and had divorce papers filed before the end of A school. I tried and tried over and over again to warn booters not to jump into a marriage. It never worked. I guess booters are just going to boot. Unrelated, but the other big fucking problem I had with these kids was buying fucking Mustangs or Chargers with like 20-40% interest. After insurance, these kids couldn't afford the gas to drive their car. Edit words. Half the job of officers and co seems to be getting their junior enlisted out of loan shark car deals and terrible marriages that were made for that sweet bar. My husband's command does not allow the lower enlisted Marines to finance anything unless it is approved by their financial counselor, which is my husband. I thought this was a little excessive until I overheard him on the phone with one who wanted a 2009 Kia with 24% interest over a 72-month loan period. But I only have to put 2k down, Sarge. Loans like that should just be outright illegal. It's extremely sad that you need to have a financial advisor step in to prevent people who don't know any better, which is a separate, but still very pressing, issue. From taking a predatory loan. Why are those even allowed? I was in my first few years of teaching and one of my 9-year-old students brought his sister's playring to school, got down on one knee when the class was on the field, and he proposed to me. It was very sweet. I declined, saying that he was a little young for me. When I was student teaching, I had a student from Ghana who insisted that I, 21 at the time, was far past my prime for marriage. He stole a ring from his mom's jewelry box and said he was willing to make the sacrifice and marry me so that I wasn't old and alone in the world. Kid was 15. Needless to say, I declined. That was a weird phone call home. When he asked, my future flashed in front of me and I hated it. He was a good guy and I did love him, but we wanted different things. We had been together for many years, but the proposal was still a surprise. I think he proposed to try and save a sinking relationship. Similar experience here. Was sitting and evaluating where I was in life and what was next for me. Decided a proposal was the next step for me and my girlfriend. Then I realized that she wasn't the person I wanted to spend my life with. Broke up with her a few days later after 3 years. It was hard, but I don't regret my decision at all. We were on the verge of a breakup when he asked. We'd been having problems for a few years. His idiot friend told him it was a good idea to propose and that it would make everything magically better. I told him no. We broke up and I moved away for a while. As they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It was true in our case. We were able to work things out. I moved back and 2 years later, we got married. We've been together for 24 years, have 2 daughters and 1 grandchild. My mother was engaged to a man while she was in college. The wedding plans were well underway and as the wedding got closer, her fiancé started acting super clingy and possessive. She called it off a few months before getting married. He has lived locally their whole lives, so she's run into him a few times. Apparently he's the super jealous type who doesn't let his wives have male friends and he has been married 3 times. My mom definitely dodged a bullet. My mom had been dating a guy for a few weeks after his wife had just died from cancer. His daughter was at college and he was paying for her education, boarding, food. I had just turned 18 and started paying my mom rent money. He proposed but said that I needed to move out because he didn't like me and thought that I was a freeloader. My mom told him that she loved me more than him and that he could shove his dead wife's ring up his ass and left him. I thought my ex had anger management issues, and I didn't get along with his mother. He was too attached to her. He later became a violent alcoholic years after we broke up. He also stole quite a bit of money from me to give to his mother for bills. I was not aware of this until months after the fact. I feel like I dodged a huge bullet there. I was 15, he was 17. I wasn't ready. I liked him a lot but wasn't ready to plan a life with any one person at that age. He asked me randomly when on a night out when we weren't even dating, just friends. I thought he was joking, but then he came over the next day to ask what my feelings were. I had to say I didn't think of him that way and it was awkward for a while. He literally only proposed because I caught him cheating. He thought I would say yes. OMG, of course. I forgive you. Please, continue to cheat on me after we both sign a legally binding contract. Dude was dumb. Your story reminded me of one of my friends who was cheated on by her boyfriend. Then he also proposed and said if you meet her you'd really like her. She is a lot like you, like he had the gall to expect her to agree to an immediate threesome and polygamous marriage. I can never understand why the cheater thinks proposing after being caught would work. She just caught me lying, going behind her back, and breaking all trust. Maybe if I propose, she'll completely forget this ever happened and our relationship will be stronger than ever. Got asked in college by a close female friend. We weren't dating. I hadn't ever felt an attraction to her, and I knew she just wanted a husband more than she wanted me, the actual person. 100% yikes. Ugh, reminds me of my old coworker. She couldn't make things work with her boyfriend, so she broke up with him and then proposed to her friend from high school. According to her, she wasn't interested in him as a man, she just wanted to get married before she turned 27. She literally told him that if he said yes, she would continue to date other guys and if she couldn't find one who she liked by 27, she would marry him. Idiot said yes. God knows what happened to them. He was that weird stoner patron that came in just to talk to me even though I wasn't interested. He told me he was the heir to the Commonwealth and should be king after Elizabeth dies, because he had the 3 out of the emblems of the United Kingdom, and once he got the 4th it would secure his position. He would also make airplane noises when I had my attention turned to other tasks. That's a no, Jason. Well, he proposed as I was breaking up with him, which was awkward, and for some reason he thought it would make me change my mind. Also he had threatened to kill my family the day before, hence the breakup, so there's that. Edit, thanks for the kind words everyone. At the time, this was my first relationship and I was very naive. I was 19 and he was 20, and we had dated for roughly 5-6 months. I'm now in a very happy, stable, and healthy relationship. I'll stab up your sister. I'll murder your ma. Machete your granny, your brother, your pa. I'll chainsaw your cousin. I'll drown Auntie Eve. Your stepsister Alice. Your great uncle Steve. I'll slice Em. I'll dice Em. I'll do it, he said. And when I have finished they'll all turn up dead. So let us get married, I love you a lot. He waited in silence. She said to him, what? Well, he proposed as I was breaking up with him, which was awkward, and for some reason he thought it would make me change my mind. Well, sometimes people get tired of being in a long-term relationship that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Also he had threatened to kill my family the day before, hence the breakup, so there's that. And sometimes there's other reasons too. He was pissed as a newt and we had only been dating a year. 10 years later he did it properly. We've been married 6 years. Edit, go to bed, wake up to a whole load of confused Americans asking about piss newts. I love Reddit. Yes, I'm British. Yes, we really did date 11 years before he proposed properly. He was worth waiting for. And my first silver tar. One of my co-workers, who's in her 30s, once said more or less, if he's not ready to get married after 6 months, I'm out. I expect to be pregnant after a year. She did recently get married, to a guy she was on again, off again with for. I didn't keep track. He asked me, on condition that I changed myself into something that he wants, so he can fulfill his dreams. All this while ignoring all my dreams. So, I chose to go forward alone. My husband proposed 1 month into dating. I declined because, 1 month. A year later we moved in together and he proposed and I declined because I wasn't ready. Almost 3 years later and 2 more declined proposals, I said yes on the 4th time. I finally felt ready. We have been married 11 years. In retrospect, his instincts were probably better than mine. Edit. Spelling and words are hard. Edit again. Math is also hard. And a gold. That's crazy. Thank you, stranger. I proposed to my boyfriend of 3 years. He told me he loved me but just wasn't ready because his parents had a really bad marriage and frankly, he didn't know if he could ever get married. I cried my eyes out and he held me but he was, gently, adamant. I accepted after a while that we wouldn't get married and to be happy that we were together and loved each other. 2 years later he proposed to me. Married 12 years so far. I can't imagine the amount of unconditional love and patience that you both had, and I'm sure still have, towards one another to work through those sorts of reservations. I know several people who refuse to get married because of how their parents' marriage affected them. It's lovely to see an example of two people caring for each other deeply enough to face that. Best to you both. Imo, this is a recipe for a strong marriage. So many people get married because they think they are supposed to. Like there's some expiration date where a relationship either needs to turn into a marriage or a breakup. Lots of people propose because they think they are with who they are supposed to be. He waited until he knew. I was asked by a man I wasn't dating. He offered to buy me a beach house and said I'd be a great stepmom to his 8-year-old daughter. I declined for several reasons. I was dating someone else. I was 18 and he was 32. He had just been dumped. He was drunk. It was a serious offer, I found out later. I didn't take him up on it and haven't talked to him since. He stopped contacting me. I was 16 and about to move to California with my grandma and away from my abusive household. Dude I was dating asked me to marry him and I told him no because I knew moving would give me better opportunities than the shitty small town I was living in. I felt suffocated in that town and needed to work on myself after being abused by my parents. I was scared and selfish. As a veteran, they were suffering from severe PTSD, had already attempted suicide, and were using drugs to self-medicate. As much as I loved and adored him, and still do, I knew there were things I wanted for myself and it wouldn't be possible if I had to be the caretaker all the time. If I had said yes, I would be a widow now. I know I did the right thing for me but I don't feel like I did right by them. I wish I could have been stronger. It was strong of you to say no. You can't fix someone's pain and problems for them. They have their journey and you have yours. What they did is not your responsibility. You did the right thing. Not me but my hairdresser and I were talking about her recent breakup the other day. She had been dating her BF for 7 years. He never proposed so she broke up with him. Didn't want to waste her time. As she was breaking up with him he proposed. She said no.